What's good, internet friends? Welcome to the start of a new video series here called Muddy's Monthly Art Book Walkthrough and or Review. If you didn't know, I'm a big fan of art books and have been collecting an assortment of art books over the years. I've done a couple different, I want to say top 5 art book videos, or maybe I just did one, I don't remember actually. But I thought, why not do a flip through and off the cuff kind of review of the books that I've collected over the years. And you know, I've got more than enough that it should be quite a hefty video series and quite a hefty video series playlist, if you will. But with that said, as you might know, I've been working on my own art book, my next art book, which will be available for sale at the time of this video at MahmudTheMedium.com/shop. I thought, why not kick off this new video series with my latest book titled Onion City Memories. This book is about 100 or more pages of art, world-building lore, and an inside scoop into the thoughts and ideas behind each of the pieces from my most recent art exhibition of the same name, Onion City Memories. So yeah, I let this review and I guess flip through kind of serve as a way for you all to get a peek under the hood before adding this book to your personal art book collection. So with that said, let's get into it. Alrighty, so for this art book, or I should say I've put out an art book before, but for this one I really wanted to provide some like world building lore elements. And just like give people more of like an Onion City encyclopedia, if you will, just for more background and more, just more lore and world building of this world that I've been creating and the characters that I've been, using to kind of express my feelings over the years. The cover here, little background on the design of the cover. For my Onion City Memories solo show, I was basically showcasing 9 like acrylic on canvas paintings alongside 9 comic book illustrations. And I kind of put together this collage of pieces. Really, this is a collage of panels from the different comic book pages that I put together for this show. And I was, in my mind, I was thinking of like classic Grand Theft Auto video game covers. That's kind of what I was going for here. Definitely big inspiration there. But yeah, that's the cover. If you are an artist and you are looking to, publish your own book, this is printed by a company called Mixam. That's Mixam, Mixam.com. They had great customer service, and I was really impressed with the quality of this book. Very thick cover and very thick pages. So yeah, let's start looking through it. Really happy with how this inside cover came out, and I really wanted to do like a variant of the cover, a little bit blown up with a red tint on the inside of both sides. So yeah, really proud of that. Let's have a look here. Usually I've seen art books have like a dedication page, and I did one in my last book I dedicated to my wife for just kind of being my rock and holding me down on this art journey. For this one, I'll say it, I was really confident. I was really proud of the work that I put in for this art exhibition and the work I put in to try to self-publish this book like immediately after the opening night of my art exhibition. So this book is dedicated to me, and I'm proud to say that. Again, more background here, but the book is divided into 3 chapters, and I'm not necessarily going to read everything in every chapter, but just to give you guys a heads up, chapter 1 was kind of like an Onion City like overview, like where that all came about. I'll flip ahead here to Chapter 2 is the artwork of Onion City Memories. That's all the artwork that made up the show. And, you know, a little description on every piece. And then the last chapter was basically like I took photos of the actual exhibit, of where the artwork was showcased, to kind of give people like a virtual exhibit, if you will, or I guess not virtual since it's on a book, but yeah, that's pretty much how the book is broken up into 3 chapters. One is a little lore focused, one is focused on the actual pieces, and one is focused on the layout and installation of the actual show. But yeah, I think I'm going to go over this part, the why Onion City. For those who didn't know, I'm an artist from Chicago, and I'm currently based in Chicago. And I get that like question all the time of like, why Onion City? And some Chicagoans know, some don't. But basically, it's a when this place was first discovered, it was, I guess, the meaning of the word Chicago, or at least if you Google it, the most accepted meaning is a word that comes from the Algonquin language, and that word is Chicaquah, if I'm pronouncing that right, which means striped skunk or onion. And I learned this in a college Chicago history class and was really fascinated by that, and kind of just like stored that memory for a long time, and just, you know, I don't know, I just held on to it, and it ended up being like the name I wanted to give to my world. If you guys are familiar with the artist Greg Crayola Simpkins, he's really cool, and I'll probably do a book review on his art book. His world that all of his characters exist in is called The Outside. Very eerie, I guess, but in a way it feels like that childlike element of going outside with your friends. But we could dive into that when I review one of his books. But yeah, so Onion City, heavily inspired by Chicago. I kind of get into more detail of it here, but it's inspired by Chicago. There's a lot of Chicago elements in my work, but there's also inspiration from other places that I've lived and visited. So I wanted to put that in the book just as like I don't know. I think of like many years in the future, and I think of like, you know, Stan Lee and Marvel Comics, and how like you could get like a Marvel Comics world lore book that's like Bible sized, and, you know, just has massive amounts of character lore and world building detail. And I guess you could say I'm thinking ahead for my Stan Lee moment when I'm like 70 or 80, if I'm so lucky. So, moving on. The other, I guess, main concept within my show was just like, the show was a you know, I told people who attended the show that each piece had 3 meanings, where there was the meaning that I was trying to express in the actual painting, or like the feeling or inspiration that I was trying to express in a painting. The other meaning is the comic book narrative behind, you know, the characters that I used to express that whatever I was feeling. And then the third meaning is what people got out of it, out of the whole thing. But with that said, each piece is set in a different time period within this Onion City timeline that I've been developing over the years. So this page kind of tracks the timeline of all the paintings, all 9 pieces that made up the art exhibition. So that's what we got here. Recurring characters so far. This was important for me to do because, again, I've been creating original characters for at least 10 years now. At least in this world of Onion City, like, it's been 10 years of just developing some recurring characters, and I wanted to showcase the ones that are most recurring in this body of work. There are some that weren't in this body of work, so they're not noted in this book, but you know, that's why it says, I guess, recurring characters so far. And I kind of went ahead and gave like a brief character bio for 4 characters that were recurring in these in this collection of work that I recently put out. So one of them, Ahmed the Alchemist. People think this is me. Definitely inspired by like my inner child, and then kind of developed into his own character with his own abilities and his own, you know, dealings and issues and whatnot. And like I said, I'm not here to read the whole, you know, chapter or read every passage. I'm just kind of giving you guys a high level overview of what we got going on. Next character, Snow Kupo, which my wife pointed out that she didn't even realize he had a last name, but in the back of my head, he has a last name. Most people know him as Snow. I've been drawing this character, like, he's probably my most recurring character of recent years. Definitely a fan favorite, definitely a personal favorite. And he's got an interesting story where, you know, he used to be like an inanimate plush toy or like stuffed animal that belonged to Ahmed the Alchemist. Eventually some stuff happened with Ahmed the Alchemist, and he kind of lost himself, but was able to give his imagination and some of his abilities to Snow, his favorite toy, and his toy became an animated character. Kind of like Toy Story, how they all like would stand up and move around when Andy left the room. In this case, you know, he was just a toy. He wasn't alive, but then Ahmed the Alchemist kind of gave him life, and that's where his story began. And he's kind of been living for many years. So he's kind of like the grumpy old man character of this world. Okay, here we've got Mona, the last indigo, and I think I mentioned in the previous page, or maybe the first page, indigos in my world are just like what I would say my world's version of the mutants from X-Men. They're just, you know, people with special abilities, special gifts, very creative people, you know, but they eventually become like a persecuted group, and their numbers dwindle significantly due to evil forces within Onion City. But Mona is one of the last ones, and she has a unique story where she kind of has to go back in time and fix things before they get really bad in her world. The only problem is, which will be, you know, you'll see this in future pages, or if you've looked at some of the paintings behind the exhibit that I've been referring to, when she travels back in time, she actually is using a uniquely faulty time machine that transforms the person riding in it into a random animal. So she arrives back in time successfully, but not in her human form, but instead as a wolf. So pretty unique time travel storyline in here as well. Speaking of more time travel, we've got another recurring character from the show, Muddy Quickfire Indigo. Again, people were like, "Is this you?" At the show, just because, you know, he's got like a beard and glasses and whatnot. And my answer to that is, he's me if I was, you know, a Wild West cowboy bounty hunter from like the 1800s. And really, he's actually, I used my Red Dead Redemption online character as like a model or reference for this character. So in a way, yes, he is me, but me, I guess, living a Wild West fantasy, if you will. He's got a unique story as well. Time travel involved in his story, but in his case, he, you know, went to sleep in a jail cell for just a petty crime of the night, and then woke up like many hundred years later in a intergalactic jail cell where he met another character of mine and started his life career of a space bounty hunter, you know, inspired by the likes of Cowboy Bebop and your other favorite space bounty hunters out there, like the Mandalorian and whatnot. Okay. I figured I wasn't gonna dive into every piece, but you know, quick time lapse of the 40 pieces that I mentioned, and hopefully that gives you kind of like a little inside peek into how the pages look and whatnot. I also wanted to add that there's a bit of a glare on the pages because I'm recording at night and I have a spotlight shining on these pages, but just FYI, the pages are pretty matte. It's not glossy. I didn't want a glossy finish, so just FYI. But all right, so chapter 3 is the Onion City Memories art exhibition. I was able to showcase this collection of work through a 6-week art exhibition at the Bridgeport Art Center here in Chicago. I love how it looked and how it came out. My wife and I installed the whole thing. She got to get her curatorial debut on, and she helped curate everything and just make it look really good and really hound me on making sure everything was hung up evenly. But yeah, so here's a little look into that for those at home who, you know, don't live in Chicago or didn't get a chance to come see the show. You'll be able to kind of experience it through pictures in this art book of mine, which I think is cool to just create like a time capsule of special events in your life, especially, you know, something like a big solo exhibition. So if you're an artist and you're looking at this and you're really into the layout I've got here, you know, do the same thing, you know, put together an art book of your next show, or, you know, just a lot of artwork that you're proud of. I feel like books are cool. People like, you know, holding physical copies of just cool imagery, if you will, and it makes for a good coffee table book, that's for sure. So yeah, let's just keep flipping here. I won't time lapse this section since it's not too many pages, but yeah, we've got, you know, I've got the pieces in the order that we laid them out in the show, to kind of give you, again, the closest feeling to experiencing it in person that I could possibly give you via a book here. But yeah, that's pretty much it. We've made it to the end. Last part is, you know, thank yous and shout outs. Thank you guys for watching this video. Again, I showcased that inside cover that I was really happy about. The back side is red, and it looks like I've gotten my little sample copy dirty in this video, but that's okay. Again, really happy with how this book came out. Shout out to Mixam or Mixam. I don't know how to pronounce that company, but apparently a few different artists that I follow have used them for art books, and I didn't even realize that until after I started working with them. But yeah, so we've wrapped up my first Muddy's monthly art book review / flip through / walk through / talk through, if you will. I hope you enjoyed the video, and hey, I'll see you next month. Besides that though, there should be other videos popping up on the channel this year because I've got more than enough content from all the process videos that I've recorded of the pieces behind this show. So look out for more videos. Again, these book reviews will probably be monthly. We'll see how good this one does, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you buy a book. Add it to your collection. Till next time, peace.